Hello, Connor. What is up, bud? Good to see it in here. What is up, Brennan? What is up, MK? What is up, guys? Yeah, guys, we're live on both platforms. I just started up TikTok, so it take a minute for everybody to get in here. Lainey, Ashley. Hello, y'all, coming into the stream. Let's take a look up here at. We got our northern risk zone getting going. Here we still got snow up here in Wyoming right now. It's a bit crazy. Hello, Megan. Yeah, guys, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of things to talk about. I'm gonna let everybody join in here for just a second. Got a lot of things. Steph, I saw your message in the chat, you meanie head. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Guys, this is a little bit of TMI, but I have this huge zit inside my nose, and it is annoying the living daylights out of me, and I cannot get it to go away. So it is annoying. But we love that. Why is my setup doing this? Hold on a minute. There we go. I was like, why is it doing that? All right, y'all, give it just another second here. We're going to start talking about some things here. I got a lot of information to give you guys. So I know y'all are going to have questions. I need y'all to take a deep breath and breathe and relax. I'm going to try and get everybody's questions answered. We're going to talk about risk zones. We're going to talk about models. We're going to talk about all that yummy stuff here. We've got a potential for a very volatile day, both on Thursday and for Friday for significant severe weather. Now, I want to mention this now, and I want you guys to understand this now. Thursday and Friday's setup is a bust or a boom setup, meaning things may not happen or things may happen on Thursday or Friday. It is a complex setup. It is a very complexing scenario. I have done nothing but wibble wobble all day trying to figure out what's going to happen with this scenario. I am still not quite confident in there being a lot of anything both on Thursday and Friday, but the potential is there for a significant severe weather outbreak both on Thursday and for Friday. Are things going to happen? It's going to really be a wait and see game until the day of it when it actually happens. So we can sit here and we can talk about models all day and get you guys prepped and ready to go as we're going to do. But I want you guys to understand things may happen, things may not happen. Hopefully they don't happen. This is kind of like, if you guys remember, we covered that moderate risk back in Minnesota and Wisconsin probably about 2-ish weeks ago. It really didn't come to fruition. So there's a couple limiting factors. This is a little bit of a different setup. We're going to have a capping inversion. When you have capped out environments, sometimes storms can break that cap. No meteorologist, no storm chaser, myself, nobody knows what is going to happen on Thursday and Friday. We just know it is a very volatile setup, and risk zones will be issued due to the severity of what could happen. If we get models that start to show convection, which some do, some don't, as expected, in a capped environment, then things will, be done accordingly. But we do have multiple days in a row of significant severe weather, and then next week on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to have another system that's going to come through. And I think I'm going to be becoming more and more confident on that system compared to what we're going to get on Thursday and Friday. So we've really got a very big stretch of severe weather to go through. So we're going to talk right now what we got going on here. We got some showers and storms ongoing here across the Kansas here. And we got mostly, this is up here into the Northeast. If you're up in Pennsylvania, back up here into New York, you got showers and some thunderstorms. The severe weather risk both in Mississippi and Alabama and in the Carolinas today did not really happen at all. So that was a good thing. It's a marginal risk. It's conditional. We do got some showers and storms here across Tennessee, back into back into the Carolinas, back up here into Virginia. So nothing severe ongoing right now. A little bit of a 2% risk for tornadoes and an isolated wind threat still along the coastline tonight. We'll see if things, happen with that. We've got a conditional marginal risk up here that's just now going to start getting going. You can see a couple of these storms initiating back down here near Casper, Wyoming. These storms will start to work their way northeast. We've actually still got some snowfall. Guys, it's the middle of May. We still have snowfall going on here back into the Rockies and up towards the Cascades here. So just kind of something to think about here in terms of where we're at with our seasonal precip right now. Let me get over to, there we go, a little bit better view there. yeah, you can see showers and some storms initiating down here. There is a wind and a hail threat later on for this evening here for these areas here. Rapid City, Interstate 90, Gillette, portions of Wyoming there. Like I said, I don't expect anything too significant in this area. Just be mindful if you're out and about. But there is a pretty strong low, and that's what's going to be bringing in tomorrow's severe weather. We can see we'll have the severe weather for Thursday and for Friday. All of that stuff there. But that's really what I've got for you guys in terms of what we're seeing here. Now, I want you guys to see. This is the Storm Prediction Center. If you guys ever need to know if there is severe weather in your area, as always, make sure y'all watch this page. Check it daily. I always tell my viewers to check this daily. Make sure y'all check this daily. SPC.com. Top left of your screen there. Oh, you can't see that, but stormpredictioncenter.com or stormpredictioncenter.noaa.gov is what you're going to go to technically. You can really just type in SPC and it comes up on website browsers. But I would be telling people to check this, especially if they're going to see severe weather over the next couple of days here. Now, you guys can see we've got a pretty active stretch here starting tomorrow and going into Thursday and Friday. I'm going to tell you guys right now, when we wake up tomorrow morning, when I do my video tomorrow, when we do our live stream tomorrow, we are going to be in live coverage tomorrow night for the Northern High Plains. I already mentioned that earlier in my video today. Don't be shocked to see risk zone colors for Saturday, for Sunday, for Monday, and for Tuesday. We could see a full panel of severe weather across this risk zone. I don't even remember the last time I saw risk zones shaded for the whole 7-day region, but it's possible. It's very possible. We are going to have a very high confidence in there being significant severe weather for next week's setup, and that leads through that day 4 through 8 period. So I would not be shocked to see some upgrades. I would not be shocked to see some extra risk zones. So just be very, very mindful, guys, as we go through the next couple of days. Tonight's kind of our last chill night, kind of before things start to hit the fan. We're going to be very, very active. We're going to be very, very busy. We're going to be doing lots of live streaming. This is kind of, like I said, our last, I would say, nightly live stream that's not going to be ongoing with severe weather coverage. So, like I said, with that being said, everybody that's in risk zones over the next couple days, take a deep breath. Get prepared, be mindful. This is not time to panic. This isn't time to freak out, none of that stuff. I know people are going to see that there's going to be, high parameters for things, all of that, etc. This is like the 1,000,000th time we've done this year. So it's not anything that, it is unnormal. It's peak tornado season, guys. We are in peak tornado season. It officially starts tomorrow and goes for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that's where we're at right now. Can everybody see me on stream okay? Adriana, what's up? Trudy, what's up? Brennan, I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. I think I saw somebody say I was lagging, but I want to make sure. Okay, you guys can hear me. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying here's tonight's risk zone. Still a small 2% tornado risk back here up here into the Carolinas. We haven't seen any warnings today so far, at least in this area, other than one this morning. So just be mindful if you're up into portions of eastern Virginia tonight, back into the Carolinas. There is a shot for some severe weather tonight. Very low end risk, not too much with that. And then we've got a wind threat with that and a hail threat for that up here into the northern high plains. So really not a lot going on. It's where tomorrow starts to get a little bit interesting. So tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center, as of now, this will update at 1 a.m. We'll get the day 1 and the day 2 outlook at 1 a.m. Depending on what happens with that risk zone, I might post a little quick update on that. We'll see what happens with that. But regardless of that, we have a small little marginal risk back here into South Carolina, North Carolina, and Eastern Virginia, and portions of Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. So this is a level 1 marginal risk here for damaging winds and some small hail, maybe even a brief small spin-up tornado can't be ruled out here. We're still getting rid of this pesky upper level low that's been in place for the last couple of days. So the main event for tomorrow is going to be this little blob you guys see right here. That's our main event for tomorrow. So, all right, you're like, this is up in the high plains. It's normal. This is going to be a wind, hail, and isolated tornado risk producer as of right now. This looks to be more of a damaging wind threat than anything. Given some of the models, and we'll talk about those here in a minute, that I've been seeing over the last couple of hours here, I would not be shocked to see this risk zone get expanded just a slight little bit here, as well as that slight risk also get expanded here. I wouldn't even also be shocked to see an enhanced risk for damaging winds. So there could be an upgrade for some damaging winds tomorrow here. We'll just kind of see what they do. But tomorrow we do have a 2% tornado risk here for portions of South Dakota, western Minnesota, western Iowa, and northern and central portions of Nebraska. That does include Omaha. We've got Norfolk, Sioux Falls. We've got Aberdeen in that Pierre, and we've got Valentine, Nebraska. So if you're in these areas tomorrow, this is a 2% tornado risk, chance of a tornado happening within a 25-mile radius of a given location. So you're not guaranteed a tornado, clearly, in any risk zone. We all know that. We all talk about that on a daily basis, but there is a small 2% here. I would not be shocked to see a small 5% introduced into here if conditions uptrend a little bit, but like I said, this looks to be more of a damaging wind threat than anything else. We do have the leading threat for tomorrow is going to be damaging winds. We have a level 2 and a level 1 risk here, 15% and 5% wind risk for tomorrow. This is going to be accompanied for winds up to 70 miles per hour. Wouldn't be shocked to see a 30%, a small 30% in there, and I'll talk about why that is here in just a minute. When then we've got the hail threat also at 15 and 5% here. So, like I said, tomorrow's kind of like we're getting our foot in the door. This is the start of what's the word here? This is the start of the kind of the active period that we're going to be seeing here in terms of the next couple of days. You're going into Thursday, going into Friday, and then afterwards we'll be kind of going into there. So, like I said, that's what we're looking at there. Not anything too crazy tomorrow. Like I said, just be mindful. We'll talk about the models here and all that here in just a second. And then we've got to look at our day 3 outlook here. And if you guys did not see, the Storm Prediction Center did upgrade Wisconsin here to a level 3 enhanced risk. And I'll talk about what those conditions are going to be like here in a second. I do want to mention, if anybody does follow weather or social media on any other social platform, if you're a weather nerd, if you do keep up with things in general, I do it. Clearly, I'm a weather nerd. There has been a lot of controversy on why that risk zone was placed in Wisconsin and not down in Illinois and Indiana. I want you guys to just remember the Storm Prediction Center issues these higher risk zones based off of confidence in storm coverage, not just parameter spaces. So just because an area has high tornado potential doesn't mean they're going to issue a risk zone for high tornadoes, because it's all about convection, where storms are going to initiate. You can have high parameter spacing for storms and still not get a risk zone because there's not the chance for convection initiating in that area. So what I'm getting at is there's higher confidence that we're going to see significant severe weather in Wisconsin on the Thursday outlook than any other area right now. Now that can change. That will probably change. We'll probably see an enhanced risk maybe get introduced into Illinois and Indiana and Ohio if things uptrend. Right now, like I said, the biggest thing keeping the risk zone bigger down here into the Ohio Valley is going to be the capping inversion. That capping inversion in the atmosphere, that temperature version aloft, it's basically a difference between your temperature and your dew points. It separates your convection inhibition. That's what's keeping, these risk zones from being higher. Could that change? Absolutely, 100%. If the models pick up tonight and tomorrow that we're going to start seeing convection in a capping environment breaks, we could get as high as a moderate risk, I think, out of this. I think the high ceiling for this event on Thursday would be a moderate risk, and that would be either tornado driven or wind driven or hail driven. Can't make that up. I'm not SPC. The low end risk, I mean, you're seeing already right now what we've got right now. So very big question marks on what's going to happen down here in the southern mode. More confidence up here into eastern Minnesota and Wisconsin and going into Michigan through the evening and overnight hours. So if you are in Wisconsin, there is a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. We go 1 to 5 on the risk zones, marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, high. And that's where we're going to be seeing that higher risk zone at. So we've got Green Bay just outside of that. La Crosse is in that. Milwaukee's in that. I mean, you guys can see, what areas are in that. Level 2 slight risk in the yellow. And then we've got a pretty big marginal risk that goes back out here. Now remember, this risk zone, each risk zone from the Storm Prediction Center starts at 7 a.m. Central Time on the day of. So every risk zone starts at 7 a.m. Central Time and goes until 7 a.m. Central Time the next day. So there will be updates throughout the day, clearly, with risk zones. But as they get updated, that time slot is open until 7 a.m. the next day. So this will start around 7 a.m. So there probably will be storms ongoing early in the morning back here in central Minnesota, Minneapolis. You'll probably be getting storms early around sunrise. That may be your severe weather risk. We'll start to see and talk more about that here in just a second. But I want to mention this now. The models right now are signaling that this event could start as soon as lunchtime in Wisconsin. We're going to have the surface low already in place, and I'll talk about that here in the models in a second. But we're going to have our surface low already in place. Our warm front is already going to be lifted. We're not going to have to wait for the environment to become unstable and volatile, as we typically would for these other setups that we typically see. The atmosphere is already going to be ready to go on the morning of. And so what that's going to do is that's going to tell us, hey, we might get initiation early. So I'm more confident myself. I agree with SPC on this. I'm more confident in there being strong to severe storms in Wisconsin than any other state right now that's in a risk zone. I'm not saying that people in other risk zones are not going to see storms. The lower the risk zone, the lower the confidence. We're going to have to see how this plays out over time. It's a very, as I said earlier, guys, it's a very complex and complicated forecast to get through on Thursday and Friday. Anytime you have a capping inversion in the environment, it's difficult to predict the weather. I'm telling you guys, any meteorologist that's been degreed for years is going to tell you the exact same thing. It's very hard to pinpoint where we're going to see storms at, because models can't compute scenarios because inhibition is an issue. So like I said, if you were in risk zones here on Thursday, this is Thursday's risk zone. I do expect changes to this risk zone as time goes on. Be mindful, level 1 in the green, level 2 in the yellow, level 3 in the red or in the orange there. We'll see if we get a slight risk upgrade to an enhanced risk here, maybe somewhere in Indiana and Ohio. That would be the area that I'm watching for potentially an enhanced risk upgrade. We'll just, we'll see what SPC does with this tonight. There's also a shot, if storm coverage continues to increase, we could get that slight risk extended further down as well. So just kind of interpreting different model runs at this point. We'll talk about, like I said, that here in a minute. But this is a very dangerous day on Thursday, very volatile atmospheric setup. I'll show you guys the details here in a second. I think Thursday has very, very high potential, very low floor, meaning we could see a big tornado outbreak happen across this region on Thursday, but we could also see a couple of storms with some wind and some hail, and that be it. So it's kind of, like I said, it happened a couple of weeks ago in the Midwest when we had that moderate risk and it busted. So big shot at being a big ceiling, high shot at there being a low floor, maybe even somewhere in the middle. All right, let's talk about Friday here for a second. We do have another risk zone on Friday. The Storm Prediction Center does have a level 2 risk here for pretty much all of Kentucky, southern portions of Indiana, southern Illinois, southeastern portions of Missouri, eastern Arkansas, and western and central Tennessee. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am more concerned as of right now with the potential for a more higher confidence in severe storms happening on Friday than I am on Thursday. We're going to have a little bit of a more complex scenario once again on Friday evolving. Friday also has the potential to be a significant severe weather outbreak. I myself am in that as well. So I need my Kentucky, my Tennessee, my Arkansas, and my Missouri and Illinois people and Indiana people to kind of listen up here, please. So, level 2 slight risk at play. Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Evansville, Indiana is in those risk zones here. I'm going to tell you guys right now, just based off of the ensembles and based off of the modeling today, this is going to expand probably pretty significantly. I wouldn't even be shocked to see if this gets pushed into North Carolina. I think we wake up to a pretty big day 3 outlook tomorrow when we wake up, when this risk zone changes to the day 3 outlook. There will be a marginal risk that gets added tonight. There will be a slight risk that gets probably expanded, and I do think that we will get a level 3 upgrade to an enhanced risk tonight, and that probably will be smack dab in the middle of the Ohio Valley at some point here with this risk zone. I'm becoming more and more concerned with Friday's risk zone than I am for Thursday, just given to higher confidence in what the models are spitting out right now. I think both days have very, very high potential. Both days could produce tornado outbreaks. Both days could produce absolutely nothing. Both days could produce something in the middle. That's why I'm telling you guys, if you're in a risk zone, whether it's 1 to 3, 1 to 4, whatever happens at the end of the day when we get to the day of, I need you guys to be prepared, because this is a very, very volatile atmospheric setup. We're seeing instability values that we haven't seen as high as they've been so far this year. This will be the highest. We've seen dew points that are going to be pretty decent. Like I said, with every severe weather system, there's going to be flaws. There's going to be, things that could make or break a system from happening. And like I said, we'll get into more of those details in tomorrow's setup, or when we talk about this tomorrow when we're 24 hours out. But currently right now, those are our risk zones. We don't have anything for day 5, day 6, day 7. I expect there to be risk zones, and I think the risk zones that get added tonight are going to be into this area right here. So I do expect a pretty big uptrend for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas, Missouri, and Nebraska, and Iowa going into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. There will be more added through next week, guys. So we're not just done after Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to have a whole other system come through. And next week's system right now, to me, and about probably 80% of the weather weenie world is what I'll call it, is more concerned about next week than what's going to be, what we could see. Clearly both events are going to be an issue in terms of severe weather, but next week, if you're in the plains, you got to be watching, guys. You guys have had a lot of busted risk zones this year. You guys have had a lot of, days that are supposed to go severe. Like Oklahoma's had, I think, about not a million, but they've had a couple of slight risk and enhanced risks this year that were supposed to produce tornadoes or supposed to produce severe weather, and they didn't happen due to a capping inversion. I'm going to tell you guys right now, in my 8 years of doing weather coverage, Sunday and Monday and Tuesday set up next week, really more Monday and Tuesdays set up next Monday and Tuesday set up across the plains, looks probably like one of the darn best setups I've seen in quite some time. Like, it looks very, very tornado outbreaky materialistic. We'll see as days get closer what happens, what SPC does, but I'm going to tell you guys right now some of the stuff I'm going to show you guys tonight. If you live in Oklahoma or you live in Kansas and you've seen, what models do, and you've seen your meteorologists talk about, recent setups, there's some very concerning things about Monday and Tuesday in Oklahoma and Kansas that I would be very, very much concerned about. Like I said, some people may see storms, some people may not. We're still 5 to 6 days out from seeing that event, so we'll start to talk more about that. We got to get through Thursday and Friday first. Can it change? Every single model run shows a significant severe weather event in the plains next week. I don't see it changing. I really don't. Can it always change? Yes, it can. But right now, we are so dadgum confident. And if SPC issues a risk zone tonight, which I think they will, according to Monday and Tuesday's layout right now, that confidence is there. It won't go away. It will only go up from there. I will be honest with you guys too. You rarely will ever hear me say this. I am at least as of right now, about 45, almost 50% confident in there being a significant severe weather outbreak across Monday and Tuesday in the plains. Like, I don't say that very often. I try to wait on that stuff because I don't want people saying, oh, you're fear mongering. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, because people will do that. But just given the environment that we're seeing for next week, it's concerning. It's very, very concerning. We could definitely we could end the month of May out here with a bang and across the plains. And you guys haven't really had much in terms of heavy rainfall and a couple dudded severe weather days throughout the plains this week. So we're going to talk about all that here. I want to start, actually, let me do this. I want to show you guys this because this is worth showing on the high ceiling. What could the high ceiling of this event look like for Thursday and for Friday? Okay. If you guys have not seen, this has been going around a lot, over the last couple of days, or not the last couple of days, but today in general. Let me get it pulled up here real quick. This is what's called CIPS, CSU, and SPC. So we've got CIPS analogs. It's basically a database that shows all of the risk zones from the last 30 to 40 years. When SPC issues risk zones or models show risk zones, or show scenarios of things happening, CIPS analogs try to basically show the best case scenario from previous events that could match up to this event to kind of show what it could look like. CSU, Colorado State University, issues their own risk zones based off of a learning model machine that has been very, very accurate over the last really 2 years. And this is something that's been floating around on social media today. I did not show it in my video today because I wanted to show you guys on stream tonight. I don't think it's going to let me zoom in here, but maybe let me zoom in. Here's what we're going to have to do it this way. Hold on a second. We're going to do it this way. Bear with me here. I'm just going to show you guys what the high ceiling of this event could be both days. Let me go back to the day 4. There we go. There it is. So there is the day 3. There it is. So this is the high ceiling of Thursday's event, right? This is the Storm Prediction Center's risk zone. This has been updated since this morning. So there is a level 3 enhanced risk already here in Wisconsin. Hold on, guys. The cats are going crazy. Sorry, guys. The cats were doing like donuts in the freaking hallway. All right, as I was saying here, the Storm Prediction Center has already issued that marginal, not slight risk here. So this is SPC on the right. This is CSU on the left. This is the high-end scenario as of right now that we could see with this event. And what you notice the difference is here is that slight risk is expanded a lot bigger here compared to what SPC has. The enhanced risk is a lot bigger. And then we have 2 moderate risk zones issued for CSU here that have a hatched 45 and a hatched moderate risk over Indiana, Ohio. So you guys can see the higher end scenario on the left of what this event could be on Thursday, and then what the Storm Prediction Center has based off of what they see with this, which clearly we're going to go SPC every time. But this is the high end scenario on the left, and then what we have currently on the right. So you guys can see Yeah, they have a hatched 45 on both of those risk zones on CSU. So that's what we're looking at. But those risk zones, those higher risk zones, are not going to be issued unless confidence in storm coverage increases. That's how that works every single time. So if there's not confidence in there being storms, they're not going to issue higher confidence, even if there's a chance for strong and violent tornadoes. It's not how that works. So that's what we're looking at for there. And then if we go and look at the day 4 outlook, look at this, guys. This is SPC for Friday. SPC goes hatched moderate for pretty much all of Kentucky, all of northern and central Tennessee, and southern Illinois and southern Indiana again on Friday. So you guys see the high-end event. You can see that slight risk being displaced as far as basically the Carolinas. So I expect this risk zone to expand and be upgraded pretty significantly in terms of the overall what we're going to see for Friday if things continue to trend up. So like I said, things can trend down, things can trend up, but this is just a learning model, and it's actually been pretty spot on this year and last year in terms of, forecasting these larger scale events. So just kind of something to take note of. It's not going to happen every time. But like I said, if we go and we look at, the following next couple of days, we go to the day 5 outlook, look for Saturday. So SPC does not have anything on Saturday yet, but we do have that shear that's going to be in place. We could see a risk zone potentially from, Texas all the way over to the Carolinas. That would be Saturday potentially, just showing the signal for severe weather. And then we go to Sunday's risk zone where things start to shape up a little bit more. This is where I start to get concerned, is going into Sunday. So like I said, Sunday we could see, and I think we will see, a day 6 upgraded risk zone here to a level 2 slight risk. We're seeing the trend for severe weather across Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Arkansas on Sunday, potentially here. And then going into Monday, we have the day 7, another slight risk in place again. And then we have the day 8 forecast, and then that will go back into the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. So you guys can see, look at the next 8 days in a row, guys, of severe weather. It is going to be wild, wild, wild. The yellow would be a slight risk if it was a risk zone issued. So like I said, yeah, there's a lot of people, guys. Like I said, if you guys are not watching, I'm going to say this because I speak for myself, but if you're not watching people that are trustworthy or know what they're talking about or can explain in depth on things and give you like clarification and clearance on things, don't listen to them. There is a lot of people on social media, especially with these higher end event days, that are overhyping or giving out false information and all of that stuff. So what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is the ceiling for this week's event is very high, but the floor is also low, and we could also be somewhere in the middle. So when you have an event like this, the best thing is for me to do is to get you guys prepared, tell you all the information, run y'all through the scenarios, and then you guys are a lot better off in terms of that. That's my goal. So like I said, I'm not a meteorologist, guys. I'm a meteorology student, so I don't have that big old shiny 4-year bachelor's degree quite yet, but I have been doing weather coverage and forecasting weather for almost 8 years, and I've pretty much called a lot of these things pretty damn spot on. If you watch about the 300 to 500 of my video forecasts, and you go back and you look at SPC forecasting and you watch my videos off of what I've said with those forecasts days and days before, pretty spot on with that stuff, and it's not that hard. So like I said, there is a lot of false information, especially on this platform. TikTok is known for having false information. Everybody thinks they're a meteorologist. I'm going to tell you guys now, we are about 16 days away from the start of hurricane season. June 1st, technically 17 days, 18 days, whatever it is. You are going to see, and if you guys have not seen this yet during last year's hurricane season, a lot of people that have low following will post model runs. They'll post scenarios of hurricanes that are not even real. They're going to give out false information to either gain monetization or to fearmonger. I need you guys to be very mindful of that, be very careful of that. If they are not degreed, or at least in school, or have some sense of idea of what they're talking about, ask them what a capping inversion is. Ask them meteorology terms to see if they know what they're talking about. That way you can know if they're legit or not. It's that crazy. Trust me, it's wild that I'm saying that, but just be mindful of what you guys see on the internet, because there is a lot of false information that goes around. Like I said, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a meteorology student, so I'm not going to say I'm degreed. I'm not going to say, I'm going to give y'all information based off of what I think and what I think is going to happen. So, yeah, ask them about a hodograph. Gladly. Ask them to tell you what a hodograph is, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. We're going to walk through some hodographs here in a minute. That is one of the most complex things in the meteorology world to understand, is what a hodograph is. It basically is a sounding the sample of your observations in an area within a 25-mile radius and a pink dot that shows you what's going on with your environment. Very, very easy to understand if you want to sit down and learn that one day. Well, not easy to understand. It's hard, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, anyways, those are our risk zones. Let's talk about tomorrow's setup. So here's an idea of what's going to happen tomorrow across the plains. We've got portions of, we've got portions of the Dakotas here, Nebraska, and Iowa. So here's kind of a simulation. Remember, these are model simulations, so these aren't going to be spot on the dot. They'll kind of show an idea of what we're going to see. We're going to have storms initiate tomorrow right around 4 to 6 p.m. So you got some showers, some storms firing off here. A couple of these could produce an isolated tornado. Some damaging winds and hail will be the primary threats. And once our cold front starts to progress east tomorrow, we should start to see kind of a Boeing line segment, maybe even a QLCS threat develop through the evening hours and then maybe go overnight. I will mention there will be a line of storms that probably will be progressing through central and western Minnesota right around sunrise on Thursday morning. This could help limit the severe threat for eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin potentially on Thursday. But also, as I mentioned earlier, if you guys were paying attention, I mentioned that potentially Wisconsin's setup on Thursday gets going early, and that could be due to what's the word here? It could be due to the system already coming through. And you can kind of see that initiation go north, and then you can see more initiation as those cells develop along that cold front boundary there. We're going to have supercells arcing there, and we'll talk about that setup for Thursday here in a minute. So, like I said, not a big day tomorrow. I could see a damaging wind upgrade for an enhanced stress tomorrow potentially if they need fit with that. But right now, like I said, tomorrow is going to be damaging winds, an isolated couple of tornadoes, and some decent sized hail if you were in Nebraska, Iowa, western Minnesota, and the Dakotas tomorrow. Let's see if we have anything on our updraft helicity tomorrow. So we got a couple actually, we got a couple splotches tomorrow. This is what's called updraft helicity. Just kind of gives us an idea of any updrafts that are rotating inside of these storms, and there is the potential. I could actually see a 5% tornado risk being upgraded tomorrow. So when we do tomorrow's video, there might be a 5% maroon shaded elevated tornado risk here if storms can become surface based tomorrow. So it will be up around the surface low, so there might actually be a shot at this happening tomorrow. So like I said, we'll talk about Illinois here in just a second. I'll talk about Thursday here in a second, but this is our model run for tomorrow. Like I said, most scenarios are pretty indicative of what's going to happen. We'll talk about, like I said, Thursday here in a second. I believe the NAM3K is also showing kind of the same situation for tomorrow. We'll double check here. Yeah, squall line. So we'll have a squall line moving through with a chance of a couple tornadoes. I would not be shocked to see either that slight risk get extended down or an enhanced risk get upgraded. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing too, Avon. These surface lows can do some wild things. So yeah, I mean that's definitely on the table tomorrow too. We'll see what SPC does tonight too, and we'll see what morning time convection. We'll see what the morning observations do tomorrow too. So, I was gonna say, Kevin, I know you're excited for Thursday in Wisconsin. You got that her model run that just came in, I hate to say this, just cooks Wisconsin. I'm gonna use the word that all of the 12 to 17-year-olds in our weather generation use, and that's the word cooked. Wisconsin looks cooked on Thursday. I'm going to use that word. It's just crazy, the terminology that the kids use these days. It just blows my mind. I'm just, yeah, cooked, chopped, whatever the word it is. Yeah. So like I said, Thursday and Friday, we'll get to that here in just a second, but like I said, all the models pretty indicative of a pretty nasty setup here. I'm going to see if our impasse models also show the same thing here. Yeah, impasse models show the pretty nasty same going on here as well. So, oh, thanks, Mandy. I appreciate that. So there's Thursday. All right, guys, let's talk, or that's not Thursday, that's Wednesday. Let's talk about Thursday. I want to go up here into the Midwest and the Northern Ohio Valley first. Remember, Thursday is a cap environment, except for Wisconsin. If there is an issue with storm convection coverage, it's going to be Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky on Thursday. So you may see storms, you may not. This is the latest, I believe let's go to the latest NAM3K run here that just came in. This will kind of show an example of what could happen on Thursday. Here we go. Upper level troughs swinging in. We got storms moving in from Wednesday night into the early Thursday morning. Exactly what I think here. Arc of supercells. So you can kind of see where that cold front is going to be sitting at. This is going to be through about 3 to 4 o'clock. So any storms that can initiate off that cold front could have a strong tornado potential, significantly large hail, damaging winds. It looks like we are going to see, this is just, like I said, it's not going to show like full on coverage, guys, because these are models, but that just kind of gives us an idea of what we're going to see in terms of the overall, just what the setup could look like. So an arcing of supercells, the NAM3K, this is something that's really interesting, and I've been seeing this trend pretty decently this afternoon. If you're in Chicago, we got to watch. We really got to watch Chicago. The Her model, the NAM 3K, and I think a couple of the Impasse models were showing this nasty supercell potential in and around Chicago on Thursday evening. So if you're in Chicago and you don't think tornadoes can happen, you are wrong. We've actually seen over the last 4 to 5 years tornadoes actually happen in Chicago. We've actually seen last year we covered an event where a tornado actually touched down in the western suburbs of Chicago. So they can happen. They can happen. I'm not saying you're going to get a tornado in Chicago on Thursday night, but what I'm getting at is the potential will be there. I think more damaging winds and large hail will be there, but there will be the potential, and this is just a signal. You can see Michigan getting pretty active through the overnight hours. We haven't covered Michigan at all this year. So Michigan will also be interesting to watch, but I want you guys to see something. You're like, all right, well, where's the storms at down here? There's risk zones down here. As I mentioned, there is a capping inversion. When you have a strong capping inversion, if storms cannot overcome that cap and the environment to lit in the atmosphere due to a temperature inversion aloft between your dew points and your temps at the surface, you're not going to see storms. And that's a big question mark on why we don't have higher risk zones down in this area, because there is a capping inversion. If models start to simulate storms tomorrow in these environments, we could be looking at a well higher risk zone than what we're looking at. I definitely think the high ceiling for the Ohio Valley on Thursday is a moderate risk. But right now, we're only sitting at a level 2 slight risk and possibly even still a marginal risk for some areas. But it's just the signal that we're getting right now is there's just not going to be potentially, enough to break that capping. Now, you can see there will be an overnight event down in western Kentucky and eastern Missouri that could initiate through about 12 to 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is another trend that I'm watching very closely. If you're along the Interstate 64 corridor in western Kentucky and in central Kentucky, you need to be very, very mindful between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. That is including myself as well. I'm in that. Going through the overnight hours into Friday morning. This is something we're going to have to watch. I've been seeing this uptrend a little bit in terms of Thursday. The environment in this area as well will be very, very volatile in terms of instability and shear. So that's something we're going to have to watch here. I will show you guys, this is the amount of instability. We have not seen instability values this high at all this year in this region. So you're going to see these instability values go through the roof. This is the amount of energy. Stop this right at peak heating. So these are as storms are firing off on Thursday afternoon. We have over 5,500 joules per kilogram of instability in this region. If a single storm fires off in this area here in Illinois and Indiana, this could be a very bad day for somebody in this environment. This is a volatile atmosphere. This is an explosive atmosphere. I don't have to, I can't have any more words to explain what this is. We've got enough instability well up here in Wisconsin to produce significant tornadoes, damaging winds, large hail. I'm more and more concerned, though, about the higher threat for tornadoes back down here into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, and Kentucky. If any storms, you can kind of see those little holes there in the radar. If any storms can initiate in this environment, I will be praying for every single person that is in any type of warning that it gets issued in that area on Thursday night, because like I said, it could be a very, very bad day for somebody if a storm fires off. We're going to hope and pray that the capping inversion holds on Thursday, because if it does, everybody's good except for Wisconsin. Wisconsin looks to be a slam dunk right now. I can't say that for Wisconsin. But right now we're just having a pretty big capping inversion. And here's an idea of what the capping inversion actually looks like. You can actually see it on models. This is what's called SIN. SIN shows us how much of a capping inversion is in the atmosphere. And take a look at this, guys. We have lesser of a capping up in Wisconsin and then a higher capping inversion. You can see that capping inversion breaking going through the evening hours there. So we're going to have to see what happens here and if we get storm coverage or not. But it's going to be there. And like I said, it's depending on how progressive the cold front is, all that, etc. So we'll just kind of have to see, like I said, what happens. So let's see here. The NAM 3K isn't moving though to saturated. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the NAM 3K though. I'm just looking at it for an example though, Jay. So yeah, I've never been a fan of the NAM 3K. The HER also likes to kind of overmix a little bit as well. So yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of it either, but we're just kind of walking through different scenarios here, just kind of showing what we could see, what we couldn't see. So that's the NAM 3K. It's the NAM. We'll start to see the Impasse models and more runs of the HER as tomorrow progresses as well. Let me actually look. Does the Impasse go that far out here? Let me see here if our Impasse goes a little bit further out. I don't think it does. Yeah, Impasse doesn't go quite far out yet. All right, we'll go to the newest. Let's go to the newest HER model run that just came out here, and we'll talk about this as well. Let's do, yeah, there's our OOZ. There it is. Okay. Here's an idea of what the simulation on the radar could look like, and this is what kind of concerned me for Wisconsin and in eastern Minnesota. So you got the morning round of storms that comes through, atmosphere destabilizes here going through the afternoon hours, and then we get just this arcing of supercells. I mean, this is where your cold front's going to be kind of basically kind of situated at here. You're going to have an arc of supercells up in northern Wisconsin, up in northern Minnesota, potentially here. So that's what we're going to have to watch, and then watch this, guys. Boom. So this is just a simulation, not an idea. Like I said, we're really not going to know what's going to happen until the day actually gets here. So this is just kind of, like I said, shooting in the dark here. But if this is any type of simulation on what could happen, or when you're like, once again, where are storms at here? There's a capping inversion, but if storms can overcome that cap, then we will have issues in terms of, production of storms happening. And I do think personally, there will be storms in this area. That's just kind of my thought process. I don't think we're not going to see a nothing burger here. I think once the cold front approaches after 6 p.m., we'll start to see storms potentially initiate. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Yeah, Jay, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, the impasse. Let me actually look at that. That's the one I think I wanted to look at here a second ago. Let me pull that back up. I always forget that one goes out a little bit further out. That is the one. Yep. So that would be an example right there of what we don't want to see happen. That would be an example right there. Supercells firing off in this region, and this would be bad. This would be really, really bad. So I think Wisconsin, like I said, where that 30% enhanced risk is at is where higher confidence is at. I think an enhanced risk gets issued at some point for Illinois, Indiana, maybe even in the southern portions of Michigan going into Thursday as we get closer to this event. But this would be a scenario we don't want to see happen. This would not be good. This would be potentially for, a long track tornado or two. And then, like I said, we'll have to watch the overnight hours down in Kentucky. But other than that, yeah, it's going to be interesting on Thursday, guys, and then interesting on Friday. Like I said, here's just another idea of what the environment looks like. These are going to be the tornado parameters. We'll show them here on the impasse since we're already on here. This is an idea of the tornado parameters on Thursday. Actually, no, let's do the HRRR because the HRRR's got a little bit better in those parameter spaces. The impasse doesn't do it too well there. Jay, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you, bud. Thank you. Yeah, let's do OOZ here on the HRRR, and we'll go from here. This is the environment, guys, that we have to work with on Thursday evening. So maxed out tornado parameters. If any storms fire off down in the southern mode here for Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, I mean, like I said, a pretty favorable environment here for storms to tornado parameter in. Basically, is what I'm getting at. So what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Let's just hope and pray that nothing fires off. That this would not be good. Not great spacing in terms of parameters for tornadoes here. So I think all modes of severe weather will be possible. I think damaging winds and large hail will definitely be the main factors with this. But a couple of tornadoes and a couple strong tornadoes will not be ruled out. Once again, going from Wisconsin down here to the lower Ohio Valley. And like I said, the further north you go, the better chance you have of seeing storms. But this would be ridiculous. And like I said, you look at the instability values again going through Thursday evening and Thursday afternoon. I mean, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous amount of instability. Well too much instability for storms to initiate in. So we'll see what happens. We'll have updates on that for tomorrow once we get tomorrow's risk zone here. I will show you guys going into Friday. Let's talk about Friday here for just a second. I'm going to show, I think the NAM 3K goes out to no, it does not. Let's go the NAM. Let's go just do the regular NAM for a second. Friday is going to be concentrated across Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Ozarks, at least as of right now. So here's our instability for Thursday. And then here we go into Friday, another push of instability. I mean, and you can see where the storms are going to be potentially firing off. And these are the radar holes where you're seeing that happen in. But Friday, guys, another just ridiculous day. And it's going to be very interesting to see if storms fire off along the frontal boundary or along the warm front, or if they fire off along the cold front there. And if we get storms that initiate along the warm front, this could be a little bit more of a messier storm mode, which could mean more clusters of storms, damaging winds, large hail, a couple supercells. We're really going to start to have to wait till tomorrow gets here, tomorrow night around this time, to see what Friday's severe weather threat is going to be. But guys, like I said, this is the instability. This is the instability for Friday afternoon. This is an explosive atmosphere storms can initiate in this environment. And then we go, into the overnight hours and into Saturday, and we still got instability to work with back down into the southeast. So, like I said, guys, Thursday and Friday are high ceiling days, meaning something may happen really bad or nothing may happen at all. We've seen a lot of these risk zones this year where we have a capping or saying, or, like I said, some things happen or don't. You guys are gonna quote unquote shit yourselves when you see the tornado parameters that are gonna be on Friday. The parameters on Friday look worse than they are on Thursday, but it doesn't mean everybody's gonna see tornadoes. It doesn't mean everybody's gonna see, severe weather in this area. But there is Thursday on the NAM, and there is Friday. I mean, it's not great. It's not great. So we're going to be clearly watching this very, very closely here for the threat for all modes of severe weather. I do think, like I said, large hail, damaging winds will be the main priority threats, and then we'll have a couple chances for a couple strong tornadoes given the environment that'll be at play. I will mention, though, you can have all the highest parameters in the world you guys want and storms not initiate and the environment not get used. That's what you call it, an untapped environment. So that's what we're hoping for. I do want to look at the low-level winds here on the NAM to see if anything's changed in terms of our low-level wind fields here. So that was Thursday, low-level jet, and then Friday. This is so interesting. The 850 still keeps our wind southwest here, but just along the frontal boundary here, you can see the winds go west to east. And that's going to be, I think, where that higher tornado potential sits at, is over Kentucky, clearly. Southern Illinois, southern Indiana on Friday, just given what we're seeing with the low level winds, because your 500 millibar, I believe, is still west to east. Yeah, so this is also a very big piece of importance, guys. You guys can see this, what's called bulk jet stream here. This is what we call our jet speed max. This is our highest winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So this is very, very important to helping storms initiate on Thursday evening. We'll get into kind of more of this again in tomorrow's video and in tomorrow's stream. But this is what could help initiate storms on Thursday evening. As that jet speed max moves through, it allows for forcing in the atmosphere. The more forcing you have, the more storms can potentially initiate. This could help initiate storms in eastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and western Kentucky going through the overnight hours on Thursday into Friday morning. So if we get an overnight event with this event, it would be back down here into this region right here with storms initiating off of that forcing mechanism that we would have with our jet speed max moving through. So this is also something we have to pay attention to in terms of that. I do want to take a couple soundings here in a second. I'm actually going to go to, we're going to go to the College of DuPage real quick because they've got a little bit better of a forecasting when it comes to this here. Let me do the, bear with me here, guys. Let's do actually, no, let's do Euro soundings because I want to still run the Euro here real quick. Just briefly here for a minute. I'm going to expand this in size so you guys can see a little bit better. All right, let's go to our 500 millibar winds real quick. Bear with me, guys, for just a second here. I love using this. It's so cool. Yeah, so you guys can see this is really interesting. So this is the latest European model run. I just like to show this to show where our potential, like our jet speed maxes are at. So you've got your upper level low sitting up there. You've got your stronger jet stream in the mid levels here. This is what's going to help promote that tornado threat, that damaging wind threat, and that hail threat up in Wisconsin and northern Illinois. But this is a really interesting piece of energy that we've got to watch right here. This could be ultimately what makes or breaks that severe weather setup on Thursday into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. If this is placed out and it actually verifies and we actually get this forcing mechanism to happen, we could actually see this validate potentially. So like I said, there's just a lot of things, small little details that we've got to work out between now and Thursday and Friday to get here to kind of understand what's going to happen. But this is a pretty interesting piece of information, energy here, I should say. And then that goes over, that is at what time? That's about 6 p.m. on Friday. So I'm going to take a sounding up here in, let's go back. We'll take a couple soundings here. We'll go up here into Wisconsin. Is it going to let me do a sounding pull? I thought it would. Hold on a minute. Bear with me, guys. Hold on a second. I got to figure out how to turn this on. It should have just let me do it. I may have to zoom out real quick. Bear with me, guys. I rarely ever use this, and I'm mind blanking for like 2.5 seconds. So bear with me for just a second here. It should have just let me take a sounding, but it's not letting me take a sounding. Yes, let me use this here. We're going to have to just take a do it this way. I am losing my mind, guys. Bear with me. There we go. There we go. Here's what I wanted to see. All right, let's go up just a little bit here. Let me zoom back in. There you guys can see. All right, let's take a sounding up here in Wisconsin. And this is going to be at 6 p.m. maybe. Why is it not letting me take soundings? Hold on, guys. Bear with me for 2.5 seconds. I'm going to get this fixed. It should be letting me take a sounding. We're going to figure this out. Technical difficulties, as always. Oh, I guess it wasn't going to let me do it on the Euro. Okay, never mind. I fixed it. It just didn't want me to let me do it on the Euro, which is interesting. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? I want my environment. Where is it at? Yeah, this is a lot of instability that we have to work with. This is actually crazy. Let me go back to my 500 millibar winds. Maybe. Mesomat is very slow today. Do we have a... Hold on. Hold on, guys. Bear with me here. I promise I'm almost done. Yeah, there's lots of instability. I'm trying to find this specific thing, and it's driving me crazy. I guess we're just going to go instability at this point. Why not? Okay. All right, here we go. Simulation. Let's go 6 p.m. on Thursday. Actually, no. Let's go 3 p.m. on Thursday. Let's do it that way. So we'll take a sounding up here. Maybe. It's still not letting me take soundings. I don't know why it's doing that. This is annoying the living daylights out of me. It should be letting me do this. It might be because I'm zoomed in. Because I want you guys to see this. I do. I want y'all to see this because it's quite interesting. Does the wrap... Okay, the wrap lets me. The NAM lets me. I guess it's only some model runs that let me do it. Okay, that might be why. All right, so let's do this then. Let's go NAM. Because the NAM's going to let me do it. There we go. Back to what I was attempting to do. 21Z on Thursday. Let's go Wisconsin. Take a sounding here. We'll go back to that here in a second. Take a sounding up here in Central Illinois. We'll come back to that. And then we'll go a little bit down south. Actually, let's go Chicago. All right, let's take a look at these here and see what we've got. All right, so this sounding was going to be for Chicago, and this is at 3 p.m. So your environment's not quite yet there. As you can see, your surface-based cape is at, yeah, so your mixed layer cape is 3208, so pretty significant amount of cape. Little bit of a capping inversion still in place there with your sounding chart there. 70, was that 67 over 65? So a little bit of a struggle bus, I think still. I think that's because, like I said, instability is still a little bit far off to the west. And then we've got your hotograph's not the best, but just enough low level wind shear there. I think this would be more of a wind and hail threat sounding, but you can see your winds are backed a little bit further down to the surface here, giving us a better shot at seeing some maybe stronger low level jet moving in. And that's going to be at 3 p.m. in Chicago. So that's that sounding. This is the sounding, I believe, in Wisconsin. Yeah, so there is no capping inversion in Wisconsin. Actually, there's a little bit of a surface-based capping inversion there. Dew points are there. Cape is there. Got 4855 mixed layer cape. STP is pretty decent. Your winds are backed all the way down to the surface here, so you've got some pretty decent low-level jet. And then you've got your hotograph there looking pretty good as well. That's going to be for central Wisconsin in 3 p.m. And then we've got... Oh, wow, that's impressive. That was in northern Illinois at 3 p.m. Yeah, I'll do sounding in. Cleveland's not going to see anything until overnight, and they're going to be just wind and hail for you guys up there. Yeah, this is a pretty decent photograph as well. No cap in northern Illinois at 3 p.m. You've got a very, very nice low-level jet there, and your winds are back. I would think northern Illinois would be a pretty decent area if storms can initiate in there. Yeah, that was Illinois. That was northern Illinois there. I'll double check one more time just to make sure here. Oh, apparently I locked my cat in the living room closet. Did you get her out, babe, or do you need me to come get her? Whoops. Okay, let me go get the cat, guys. Hold on a second. Whoops. I can't even believe who was stuck in the closet for 6 hours. She was stuck in the closet for 6 hours. Y'all know who that is, right? I didn't know. She just opens up the door and goes in there, and then I closed it because I didn't think anybody was in there. It's Jenny Purr. Yep, stuck in the closet for 6 hours. Yep. She's just chilling. God, this cat is something else. I swear. Like, there's never another cat that I will ever have that's like this one, I swear. Like, it never fails. All right, as I was saying, golly. As I was saying, though, tornado parameters here. Let me see if I can get a better sounding. Let's go. This is Thursday at 6 p.m. in Indiana. Oh, yikes. That's not good. You got a PDS sounding. This is a beautiful photograph. A little bit of a capping inversion, but you've got 4,555 Cape. That is central Indiana at 6 p.m. on Thursday. So a very ripe and volatile atmospheric setup there. Very, very volatile setup. You've got 81 over 74. Your winds are back. This is actually a very perfect photograph. This is impressive. This is very, very impressive. And that's at 6 p.m. on Thursday in Indiana. I'll get to Kentucky here in just 1 second. We just did northern Illinois. I'll take a couple more. So northeast here, Indiana or Illinois there. We'll take that one. Kentucky is going to be a little bit later in the evening. That's at 6 a.m. on Friday. Why are we getting blues popping up? Thinking that's the NAM. Let me go. Actually, let me do this. Let me do this. Hold on. This is going to be a little bit better. Wait, hold on. Is that through Friday? Yeah, I don't want that. I may have to do a sounding from Pivotal here in a second, guys. Yeah, I'll have to do a sounding from Pivotal, so let me go back to that. I'll go back to that here in a second. But yeah, basically what I'm getting at, guys, is it's gonna be crazy both on Thursday and on Friday. I want to take a look here for just a second and look at Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday setup, and then I'll answer some questions on Thursday and Friday. But y'all get the point. It's gonna be very, very active on Thursday and Friday. If you're in risk zones, you need to be weather aware. You need to be mindful. We're gonna be live coveraging both days. We'll be starting live coverage tomorrow. We'll be live on Thursday. We'll be live on Friday. We'll be here to get you guys through all of the events from start to finish. That's what we do as a team here. So we're unlike any other, I guess, weather channel where they don't do that. So I want to zoom out here, and I want to talk about the overall pattern that we're getting ready to see here going into especially next week, because it looks very, very, very concerning here next week. Let's go with our jet stream here. Let me zoom in again a little bit so you guys can see. So this is our 500 millibar jet stream winds. You can see what's going to be happening clearly over the next couple of days here. I don't have to say much. Troughing ejects. There we go. There's our system. You can see I still want to watch on Saturday and Sunday too for some damaging winds and potentially some large hail. But you guys can see we're going to have another, because their system, and this is the one that I'm watching that's going to be coming into the picture here starting on Sunday and on Monday. We'll get this system out of here hopefully on Sunday, the one that's along the Mid-Atlantic and the East Coast. Look at this, guys. This is a classic severe weather setup here for the plains. Beautiful 500 millibar jet stream here. I believe this is our latest run. It is, yes, this is our latest. Is our new one coming in now? We have our new run coming in too, actually, so we can start to compare things here in a minute. But yeah, very, very typical severe weather setup here going into next week. It's very impressive. And you've got your jet speed max. Right now, this would be the area to be concerned about next week. This would be where you need to be concerned at. And that's going to be through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. So very, very concerning 4 to 5 day period next week. This would be the area that I think an outbreak's going to happen in personally right now. That's going to be Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. I don't really have to speak much on that. We can also kind of look into the future past that point. Things get a little bit uncertain. We know there's going to be severe weather going through the end of May, but we might actually start to see some ridging. This is a good thing for our vacation too, babe. Ridging with a little bit of a northwesterly flow, keeping temps cool over there. That'd be nice. We'll see what happens with that. Here is the this is the supercell composite. This is the supercell composite going into next week. And this is really my concern for next week. So here's supercell composite for this week. That's Thursday and Friday's event, I believe. Yeah, that's Friday's event. So I'll take a sounding here to Western Kentucky. I'm going to see this real quick. God damn. Oh, that's awful on Friday night. That is disgusting. That's along the Ohio River in Western Kentucky on Friday night. That's the GFS's run. We are going to be destroyed. We are cooked in Kentucky. We are cooked on Friday if this verifies. That is literally sitting over top of me and Roro. I'm not even... I took that sounding just over top of us. That is disgusting. There is a little bit of a capping inversion on Friday. We've got about 2,100 cape at the time of the sounding. PDS tour, STP is through the roof, backed winds. This is bad. This is really bad. Oh God, I'm going to enjoy doing weather coverage for you guys on Friday in the middle of this. This is going to be so much fun. Jenny Purr is going to get probed in a tornado. I absolutely love that for us. That's crazy. You get 8.6 Celsius per kilometer per second lapse rates. God bless America if that verifies next week or on Friday. We go into Saturday. Like I said, Saturday not too concerning here on Supercell Composite. There'll be a boundary that's still in place. I think severe weather will be possible up and down this whole region on Saturday. We'll just kind of wait and see what SPC does with that. And then going into Sunday, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting. Sunday, we're going to have to watch here. We'll take a sounding at Oklahoma. We'll take a sounding up here along the central Nebraska, or sorry, central to Kansas, and then down here into Texas. Kind of see what we're looking at here. All right, that is Oklahoma Central sounding. So we're on OKC, a little bit east of that. Favorable tornado environment there. Winds are backed. 80 was that 60? Sorry, 88 over 71. 3100 surface-based cape. Pretty decent little hodograph. They're not super impressive, but enough for tornado potential. We'll go southern Kansas. So you got a weak tornado threat there. Hodograph winds are still very backed, so you can see that curl with your backed surface low winds down there. The capping inversion is also there. Skinny cape, though, so we'll have to see how that evolves as well going through next week in southern Kansas. And then I believe we got a Texas sounding. That's a better sounding in Texas, but you don't have a lot of instability on that sounding either. And pretty little decent dry slot as well, so we'll have to see how that unfolds too. I think next week will be a very big week for severe weather, like I said, in the plains there. And then we go into... I should do a video or a stream. I do want to do it eventually. Soundings and hodographs, guys, are very complex. At some point, I'm going to do a video on it to when I understand it, because I'm still a little bit iffy on it myself, too. It's a very complex thing to understand and master. So, you know, that's why I try to do it as we do these streams to kind of talk to you guys about it. But eventually, at some point, I'll probably do one. We'll do one at some point. This is the Supercell composite setup for, I believe this is for Monday afternoon. Yeah, this is Monday. We'll go Oklahoma Central, Monday night. We'll go up here into central Kansas Monday night, and then we'll go up here into southern Nebraska on Monday night. All right, let's go Nebraska first. Wow. That is southern Nebraska at 6 p.m. on Monday night. Look at that. Beautiful hodograph in terms of backing winds around your surface low. You've got Cape pushing 3,000. We've got 398 0 to kilometer SRH values. That is through the roof for Tornado Genesis. And then you've got a pretty decent stacked STP lapse rates there. Your 7.7 kilometers, so you've got a pretty decent amount of lapse rates there for steep lapse rates to help to allow for storms to become severe. Basically, that is for southern Nebraska on Monday night at 6 p.m. We will go... This one is, I believe... Hold on, let me do two more here. I'm going to redo this. I'm going to do the sounding here again in southern Kansas. Okay, this is interesting. So you've got a little bit of skinny Cape, 3,500 ml Cape. So Cape's not an issue. 8.2 Celsius kilometers on your lapse rates. I mean, it's not a great hodograph, but it shows tornado potential. Your winds are not too back, but you do have a little bit of wind direction change as storms go down to the surface, giving us the threat for tornadoes, large hail, and all hazards on southern Kansas on Monday. I need to find this other sounding that I found that's a little bit more interesting. And then we go into the Ohio Valley after that. Yeah, that would be... Hold on. I found one. There's a certain one I found earlier. I gotta find it. Hold on a second. Come on, load. All right, I guess that's the one we're gonna get. This is gonna be for next Monday, guys. We're looking at Oklahoma next Monday. Yeah, Oklahoma City. This will be for you guys. 3,500 Cape, 4,100 at the surface. Not too much of a capping inversion. There will be a capping inversion in place. Pretty decent dry slot here. You got a little bit of overmixing up in the northern portion of your hodograph there, and then you've got a pretty decent little hodograph in terms of your everything kind of coming together there. So yeah, I think next week's gonna be interesting. We got to get through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday first. But next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if you're in the plains, you need to be ready to go. It's that simple. I'm a little bit, I get more and more concerned. And then we go into the Ohio Valley afterwards, Kentucky all over again, Missouri, and then Kentucky going into next Wednesday. See what these do. Yep, Eastern Missouri. There's a problem with this sounding. We're not going to use that one. And then Western Kentucky, pretty decent sounding. Got a pretty decent amount of instability. Your lapse rates are a little bit weaker. So yeah, we'll start to talk more about next week as we get closer to this event. kind of see what involves with that. And then past that point, things become a little bit uncertain. I want to see what our new GFS is doing currently. Let's see here if we got anything changes. Yeah, new GFS still coming in pretty strong for tomorrow, or not for tomorrow, but for Thursday. See if it's still doing anything wonky. It puts the bullseye Thursday evening now over here in Eastern Kentucky, which is interesting. I don't know why that's a thing. Still kind of wait to see what it's going to do on Friday here. Timing for Storms in Nashville Friday, please. I don't have a timing yet on Friday. We'll know timing tomorrow for Friday. There's no way for me to know right now. DFW might see some stuff next week. Next Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, guys, I won't have official timing on anything until tomorrow. It's PDS, Casey. We were pulling them earlier. Yeah, if you want to come back in here tomorrow, Sweet Rubies, I'll have something for you tomorrow. Babe, what in the god green earth are these cats doing? We can do a sounding for Chicago suburbs on Thursday evening. You got a Tor Hodograph. It's all right. This is going to be more of a damaging wind and a hail event, I think, for Chicago. There will be a threat for a couple tornadoes potentially in and around the vicinity, but I'm not too shocked for you guys right now. I'm not too concerned about it right now. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, every time that I look at these model runs, though, it blows my mind what the ceiling for this event could be. I want to go back to the Impasse model, babe. Look at this. This is the only thing we have close to seeing for Friday's event for us compared to the Rufus. This is the Impasse for Friday. Look at that gargantuan sail just ripping through Paducah, Kentucky. Like, it obliterates St. Louis and it obliterates Paducah. I'm using that in terms of a joke, guys. Like, would hate to be here. I'm just kidding. These are models, like I said, though, so. Yeah, guys, I'm never going to steer y'all in the wrong direction in terms of weather. I'm always going to be here to give y'all that. Try to give y'all the best information I can. This would be something if that developed. God forbid a squall line develops. But yeah, I'm always going to try to give you guys the best information. That's why I try to wait for things to get updated, all that, etc., before I give you guys my official wording on things. Yeah, GFS still holding pretty strong. So we'll have to see what these models do overnight tonight. Look what SPC does. I think SPC will do some pretty crazy things tonight. I'll be up super early tomorrow, guys. I'll have videos out pretty early tomorrow. I want to have videos out no later than 9 tomorrow morning, both on YouTube and on TikTok for you guys. That way I can get ready to do some weather coverage tomorrow. There won't be a live stream, guys, until probably tomorrow afternoon, because that's when we're going to get on to do coverage. So, just a heads up on that. So, do I have any more questions related to anything that I'm able to answer? Like I said, pretty interesting next couple of days for some significant severe weather. We'll see what happens overnight tonight. We'll see what models do overnight tonight. Jenny Purr is just doing Jenny Purr things over here. That's your own fault, Rochelle. You get mad at me when I wake you up, but then you get mad at me when you don't, when I don't let you sleep. So I don't know what to tell you on that. You're lost on your own. Yeah, 605, dude. I'm telling you, if Thursday even becomes semi-active on the models, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio were cooked. I hate saying that word because I feel like a child when I say it, but they're cooked. We don't need the Ohio Valley getting cooked. Let's go with the confetti. Thank you for the gifts there, 605. I appreciate you, bud. So, by the way, guys, I haven't mentioned this in a couple days. If you guys have not checked out merch, make sure y'all go check out the Jenny Purr. Go check out the Mesomat merch. It is on my official website, mesomatwx.com. The link's in my bio. We have lots of amazing merch options that are out right now. The limited edition Jenny Purr t-shirt and Jenny Purr sticker are only going to be in the shop until the 29th of May. So if you still want to get one, you got 16 days to get the Jenny Purr shirt and the Jenny Purr sticker. Make sure y'all go get y'all some Mezzo Matty merch. There are lots of really cool things on here that Rochelle has made. Rochelle has made every single one of these things that are on here. So make sure y'all definitely do that. Also, if there is anybody, once we get through this crazy thing of severe weather, if I've got anybody that is interested in one-on-one Mezzo Mat weather lessons, there will be a $20 to $25 an hour charge for classes. If you are interested in learning one-on-one with me, once we get back from vacation, I'll be starting that stuff up come June. So you just send me a message if you're interested in doing that. It is worth it, I promise. So there is thaters. So super excited about all that. I need to start putting that in my videos again. I need to do that. But yeah. So we've got a pretty active next couple of days, guys. Like I said, things can uptrend, things can downtrend. We'll see what happens in the weather world. So I hope to have some good news for you guys tomorrow. Not any bad news, but y'all should know me. We'll wake up tomorrow morning and pandemonium will be all over the board with the risk zones. So like I said, I expect some pretty significant risks to be changed tonight. I think some upgrades will happen, and I think some uptrends will happen. So we'll just kind of see what SBC does with all that. But I'm going to get off here, guys. My weather team, I appreciate y'all for hopping in, guys. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the taps. Thank you for the subscriptions over on YouTube. I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon for a live severe weather coverage. Be safe. Get prepared. Be smart. Be weather aware. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.